Reaper Cloth, Chipped Pot, Deep Sea Scale, Magmarizer, all are examples of evolution items. They have always held a weird place in the Pokémon series, stuck between being a simple game mechanic and being an actual object within the Pokémon world. They're similar to trait evolutions in a sense. How can you find Wild Gengar if Haunter requires trading to evolve? Evolution items hold a comparable position, albeit with one key difference. They are integrated within the world. You may not have ever noticed it, but items like this serve as environmental storytelling. They give you slivers of information about the location, the Pokémon associated with them, and the item itself. But all this stuff is well hidden and easy to miss, so allow me to introduce you to the hidden world that is the world building implications of evolution items. And we're gonna start with one of the oldest examples in Pokémon history, being among the first to ever be introduced if you don't count the evolution stones from Gen 1. I'm referring to the Metal Code, introduced primarily as a way to explain why Onyx and Cypher can evolve in Gold and Silver, but not Red and Blue. As explained in Legends Arceus, this item is a special metallic coating that is both strong and flexible at the same time, which makes for quite a unique alloy. That said, there is something else in the Pokémon world that is described by almost the exact same features: Registeel. As explained in his Dex entries in Sword and Emerald, Registeel's body consists of a metal that is both incredibly flexible as well as very strong, the exact same properties as the Metal Code. I'd say that already suggests a possible connection, but I have further links to highlight for those of you who are still skeptical. Like the place where you can find Registeel and Platinum, the Iron Ruins. This is an event-only room on Iron Island that contains nothing more than the Regi, but the island itself is the only place in Sinnoh where you can find not just Metal Coats, but also Wild Steelix, which would need to have this in their environment in order to evolve. But what about Scizor? Well, interestingly enough, Registeel and Scizor are two of only 5 Pokémon who can have the hidden ability Light Metal, with the other 3 being the Beldum line. Could this light metal their bodies consist of be what the Metal Code is made out of? If so, the Metal Code may not even be native to the Pokémon planet. After all, it's pretty strongly hinted that Beldum and its evolutions are extraterrestrial Pokémon, so perhaps it's the comet or meteor or however they ended up on the planet that also brought the Metal Code with it. In fact, Sapphire's Dex entry for Registeel outright says it's made from a substance that's not from this earth. This is also alluded to in Legends Arceus, where Metal Coats can only be found in space-time distortions and not natively in the mountains of what would later become Iron Island. So, looking over all this evidence, I think we can possibly conclude the Metal Code may actually be from outer space. Alright, let's go from one of the first evolution items to one of the most recent, the Auspicious and Malicious armor that evolved Charcadet into Armarouge or Cerulege. This evolution family appears to have much more story behind it than is actually told, specifically in the way these items work. First of all, let's begin with what auspicious actually means, seeing as it's not the most common word in the English dictionary. If something is auspicious, then it is a good omen, basically, a sign of success to come. This is also referenced in Armarouge's Dex entries, which refer to it as a distinguished warrior. Meanwhile, Cerulege's Dex entries call it the resentful spirit of a fallen soldier who failed in his goals. Considering the evolution method of Charcadet has nothing to do with winning or losing, but is instead about giving it armor, I think it's fair to say this warrior that's referenced isn't our little Pokemon, it's the previous owner of the armor. As such, Cerulege is essentially the spirit of a fallen soldier corrupting this little Pokemon, while Armarouge goes for more of a what if Charcadet succeeded kinda angle. This might also be why Charcadet at first sight resembles Armarouge much more than Cerulege. Armarouge is his true evolution, Cerulege is a corrupted evolution. Malicious indeed. Let's hop from one ghost type to another and tackle the Reaper Cloth next, an item only to be used by the Duskull line. Looking at the English name, you will never really spot anything out of the ordinary here. Sure, Reaper refers to the personification of death and Duskull kind of resembles it, but that's all there is to it. In Japanese, however, this item is called the Spirit World Cloth, which fits the facts we know about the evolution family much better. Diamond and Pearl say Dusk Noir can pick up signals from the spirit world using the antenna on its head, while many other games mention it guiding lost spirits to the spirit world. As such, the Japanese name of this item implies it is actually from the world beyond. The description of the item also hints at this, although it doesn't go further than saying it possesses a strong spiritual energy. While this next entry is definitely not as hidden as some other examples in this video, I feel like I can't ignore the evolution items for the Porygon family here. As you probably know, Porygon is a man-made Pokémon, probably by Silphco, brand new when Gen 1 takes place. It was made with the goal of exploring space, although it was never capable of that, instead settling for cyberspace, i.e. the internet. Not as impressive nowadays, but in the 90s that was something special. But the planets beyond kept fascinating its creators, and so they made a special item that would allow Porygon to move around in the galaxy. This is the upgrade, required to evolve Porygon into Porygon 2. While it can't even fly, Porygon 2 is capable of exploring other planets, but that was still not enough. Alien dimensions were the next goal, and so another device was created by unknown developers. However, this ended up being the Dubious disc, which didn't exactly work as intended and jumbled up Porygon's code, resulting in Porygon Z and its bizarre appearance and movements. Again, it's not the most unknown story, but I do enjoy this little tale that is entirely confined to this one evolution line, their dex entries and their evolution items. Back to more unknown stuff now, with another long-lasting evolution item, the King's Rock. Because all of its descriptions explain its in-battle effect, we do not know much about the item itself, beyond the general appearance of a crown and the implications that come with that, of course. As you would expect, King's Rocks can be found held by the Pokémon that evolve using it, so members of the Poliwag and Slowpoke lines. However, there are two more species who also hold this item in the wild without any apparent reasons, Hawlucha and Hariyama. And this is no one-off either, for both this has been the case ever since their introduction and has stayed consistent until Scarlet and Violet finally ditched it. But what was the deal here? Why did these Pokémon fixate on this item? Well, I think the answer can be found, as always, in the Pokédex, specifically Hawlucha's. Dex entries for the Hoenn remakes explain it can keep up with big brawlers like Machamp and Hariyama, which hints at this being something that's actually done in the wild. This is, ironically enough, corroborated by the game that doesn't include them holding a King's Rock, Gen 9, where the Pokédex image for Hawlucha depicts it fighting a Hariyama. This is a weird choice, considering its Dex entry mentions Primeape to be its natural rival, but apparently Hariyama is not far off. As such, I would wager, considering the themes of both Pokémon being a luchador and sumo wrestler specifically, the King's Rock is meant to be a reference to the belts that are awarded to winners in fighting matches. These two Pokémon find King's Rocks in their environment and battle for them. After all, Hariyama is said to be an honorable fighter, a lover of the sport as we'd say, so including prizes in their sparring matches is right up their alley. This would also explain why only Hariyama can hold a King's Rock and not Makuhita, since those wouldn't be a fair opponent for Hawlucha. And for the final item of this video, I want to go to the other item you can use to get yourself a Slowking, the Galarica Wraith and its partner in crime, the Galarica Cuff. Now, some of you are gonna roll your eyes at this next section, because I'm pretty confident at least some people watching will find it extremely obvious, but if you're like me, you may have completely missed this. So, the Galarica Wraith and Cuff actually correspond to where Galarian Slowpoke channels its poisonous energy. Wraiths have been used in countless ancient cultures all throughout the globe as headwear during ceremonies, which corresponds to Galarian Slowking having the shelter stuck on its head. Similarly, the Galarica Cuff is a bracelet, which matches with Galarian Slowbro having shelter attached to its arm. It's super obvious once you know it, but that moment didn't come up until my research for this video. What also came up is that the Galarica itself, the twigs of which are used to form these items, is based on nutmeg. Ironically enough, nutmeg is one of the spices that the British Empire conquered half the world to find, as it is very much not native to the British Isles. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this little dive into evolution items and learned something new. If so, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel to stay notified on all my future Pokemon content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.